Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam yafqahu qawli. Honorable Speaker, Professor Dr. Johari bin Abdullah from the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, University Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS, and my respected colleagues, professors, associate professors, doctors, brothers and sisters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To get more barakah, let us begin with Kitab Al-Fatihah. Alhamdulillah, we are very honored to have Professor Dr. Johari to be our speaker today for the webinar entitled Harnessing Generative AI for Teaching and Learning in Higher Education. So let me introduce our speaker. The program outcomes for this webinar at the end of the lesson or the session, the participants will be able to explain the core concept and application of generative AI in higher education, evaluate opportunities and challenges of integrating generative AI in teaching practice, and apply generative AI tools to enhance instructional and learning activities. To map this webinar to our IRUM 7 mission statement, it can be mapped to the second mission, which is to produce better quality intellectuals, professionals, and scholars by integrating the quality of faith, knowledge, and good character to serve as agents of comprehensive and balanced progress as well as sustainable development in Malaysia and in the Muslim world. And it also mapped to the fourth mission statement, which is to nurture the quality of holistic excellence, which is imbued with Islamic moral spiritual values in the process of learning, teaching, research, consultancy, publication, administration, and student life. So a little bit about our speaker, Prof. Dr. Johari bin Abdullah. His current affiliation is as a professor in Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, UNIMAS. His academic background is obtained PhD in Computing Science, University of Newcastle, United Kingdom. His master was in Information Technology, Queensland University of Technology, Australia. And he obtained his bachelor degree in Bachelor of Computer Science, University Putra, Malaysia. He has vast experience as leaders, and one of it as a former dean in the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, UNIMAS. So his areas of expertise include web technology and web services, ICT infrastructure and sensor networks, educational technology, distributed and ubiquitous computing, open source software and services, and computational thinking. And his research and professional contributions include he led and contributed to multiple research projects in areas such as internet performance monitoring, web browser security, malware analysis, mobile ad hoc and sensor networks, 5G communication, MOOC learning engagement, and ICT for rural communities. His teaching areas include programming, computer networks, distributed system, web-based system development, system programming, and advanced topics in computer networking. So we have our expert in IT, and he'll be talking about AI today. Alhamdulillah, insyaAllah. So some housekeeping announcement, Please keep your microphone muted for the entire session. If you have any question, you can post in the chat box or you can raise your hand to speak. The IITAN link will be shared after 10:30 a.m., which is half an hour after the commencement of our webinar. And you need to complete the evaluation form within 24 hours to earn the CPD points. So CPD points require attendance. evaluation form and some certain duration of presence in our Zoom. So I think that is all from me. I wish to welcome Prof. Dr. Johari to give his talk sharing, ya, insyaAllah. Dan ya akhi, silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi. Terima kasih Dr. Wirawani for the introduction. Just to double check, you can see my slide, Dr.
Yes, you can
Boleh
see
ya?
cantik.
Once again, thank you very much kepada semua, especially to IUM dan juga kepada CPD for the opportunity to invite me and a bit of sharing session. And we'll try to cover this up until 12 as usual. I'll start with the sharing session and probably we can have 15 or 20 minutes of Q&A at the end. But along the way, if you have any question, you can either post in the chat box or you can raise your hand and ask question. I saw the name of Prof. Rose, dia pun datang juga. This is the Sifu ni, Prof. Rose Alinda, orang senior computer science. We are from computer science, kita kenal nama-nama ni lah. So thank you very much, Prof. Dan yang lain, I believe I will continue to converse in English, assuming there are international academicians from IUM. A bit about myself, I joined UNIMAS back in the year 2000, straight away from UPM. My bachelor at UPM in computer science. My background was specific to network, and a subset of that is cybersecurity. And I've started to apply AI through machine learning and deep learning related to cybersecurity back in 2013, 2012 during my PhD and continue until now. But later I'll explain a little bit about the details about how I involved in Gen AI, the latest buzzword among many people. Feel free to contact me. My email is there, either my personal email at Gmail ataupun my UNIMAS email. Both will go to the same mailbox, and also can WhatsApp me if you have any question after the session or potential collaboration. Quite a lengthy slide, to be honest. Last night when I was going through the slide, initial number of stats 150 actually, but I think 2 hours or 1.5 hours are definitely not possible. So there are slides that I will not go through in detail, but you can refer to those slides, especially the example in part 3 and part 4. I need to start with the overall big picture about AI. I know for sure that among you are not from the computer science background, and I'll try to explain using layman term about AI concept in general before we can understand and appreciate the technology that we are using. Then we'll go to ChatGPT as one of the tools. There are banyak lagi actually, more than ChatGPT. Prompt engineering as the basis of using the current Gen AI properly. And after that, how to use it for education purpose from our perspective as academician. And last but not the least is the implications about usage of AI from ethical point of view and also from our position as educator, which we will discuss later on. So let's move on to part number 1, which is about AI in general. This one, if you have been following Gen AI from around 2022, Gen AI was officially coined back in 2022, but the ingredient or component of Gen AI goes back many years ago. Those in AI domain will definitely know what I'm talking about. We can go back up to 35 years ago to understand the bit and pieces about what constitute as the current Gen AI. So when we talk about Gen AI, this particular memes, Will Smith punya video, we can see the progression of the technology is so fast. Even for myself in this domain, to be honest, there are days where I sit down and think what I am doing actually. I mean, every single day we are counting days and hours rather than weeks and months actually when it comes to AI technology. But you can see the progression of AI technology. This is video perspective and generated video back in 2022 up until this year. The progression of quality and the realistic nature of images, the video, the sound, the music, and so on is so vast, I think. And you can see the progression of 2023, the quality up until 2026. and again lead to my domain as cybersecurity specialist and the explosion of scammer and cyber attacks and things like that using AI as the tools for the hackers and um, the 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 bad side of things lah. Latest trend. I'm sure that a lot of you follow this, and if you in social media, TikTok, Facebook, and so on, the latest trend as of a few days ago, we are counting this as well as our latest trend. I'm not sure Dr. Wira already follow this trend or not, ataupun the rest of you. The latest trend yang ini lah, you upload your picture and then you can generate your younger self back to certain years. And when I share this kind of thing, of course, the first question, can you share the prompt or not? Ini prompt dia lah yang kat bawah tu. And this is using ChatGPT Imagine model yang latest one, which I will explain later on. The second one, I play around with this as well. I play around a lot with images. When I started using Gen AI back in 22, it's all about images. Even though I use ML, NDL, machine learning, and deep learning for cybersecurity, but in terms of creative domain, back in 2022, I play around a lot with images. So this one, again, for fun, one of the latest trend, you can have a picture of any menu with a simple prompt that you can come up with an overlay like this, a cartoonistic kind of overlay that explain about the ingredient, the promotion, the advertisement, and so on and so on. And this is also, I think, start to appear yesterday. Someone come out with a prompt. You can replace the placeholder here, the name of famous people. And this is again using ChatGPT Imagine model. They released a new model a few days ago, and the quality is really, really good. So this one is about Tun Mahathir, and I think you can see a lot of example online as well. And the other one, again, if you look into social media, there are so many infographic like this. I'm not sure whether you noticed or not for the past few days. And this is again from the latest ChatGPT image model. When I started using Gen AI back in 2022, there are three telltale signs when you look at an image, whether it is generated by AI or not. The first one is text. Back in 2022, text was almost impossible to generate because the model doesn't understand to generate text language-wise. That one is a clear telltale sign. Second is the eyes. And back in 2022, when you generate an image of a person, you can check the eye first. Usually it's not perfect. And the third one is the limbs, the hands and the feet. Those again is very difficult to generate from AI perspective. Fast forward to today, text I believe is close to 100%. I would say 99.99%. A few weeks ago, it was around 98, 97%. But when you try the latest ChatGPT model, Imagine 2.0, I couldn't find any errors, to be honest. And this is not from me. I mean, I've generated a few similar to this, but this is what I gather from social media for the past few days. And it gives you these two feelings actually. First, when you start to look at this, these are wonderful sharing of knowledge through visual. I'm a visual person actually. I learn mainly through visual, so I really like this kind of infographic. But over a period of 3 days, then you value less this thing actually. That's my personal perspective lah. Because overloaded of visual images, I would say. But this one, I believe, will be one of the trending factor for the next few weeks. Now let's look at the perspective of this evolution of Gen AI. And by the way, of course, if you cannot guess already, this particular slide was generated through ChatGPT infographic. I again tried to find any spelling errors or text errors. I couldn't find one actually, to be honest, with the latest Imagine 2.0 model. Now, if you look at the timeline for Gen AI, we can pinpoint to 2022. I think this is the official announcement of GPT 2.5 from OpenAI. OpenAI started way back in 2016. If you look at the history of OpenAI, it was founded by two persons actually. One is Sam Altman. I think the current figure, public figure for OpenAI is Sam Altman, but I'm not sure whether you know the partner for Sam Altman back in 2016 when OpenAI was established. It's not other than Elon Musk himself. But Elon Musk left OpenAI in 2017, simply because he felt OpenAI doesn't have sufficient guardrail to protect against uh, the negative side of AI. That's one of the main reasons that he gave, but there might be some other business reason as well. But let's continue the discussion. So OpenAI start to develop the GPT model in 2017. They have a functional model in 2018. That is after the transformer model was released by Google in 2016. That's another story. And then they only released a fully functional model GPT 2.5 to the public, I think around April 2022. Performance-wise was not good actually. I mean, if you tried GPT back in 2022, a lot of hallucination. The answer was not good enough, and it is gated, as in the model only stopped learning up to a certain date. So anything that you ask beyond that date, it wouldn't be able to answer and give what we call as hallucinated answer or false answer, simply because it cannot go to the internet to search for the right answer during that time. So that era, I call it era, but it happens in 2022 actually, just 4 years ago, is the time when Gen AI go mainstream. Prior to that, it was in research lab, but 2022 is the public explosion of usage of Gen AI through ChatGPT. 2023, then we moved to reasoning actually. 2022 more to question and answer. You ask something, it will give you the answer. 2023 it start to be able to give you reasons. You can start to think about the answer from different perspective and start to reasons. And 2024 is when it become multimodal. Even though in 2022 I started to play around with image model, but it's a separate model. So during that time, they are model for text generation. They were model for image generation. Audio and video were there, but it was too what's the term I should use? The quality was not good enough during this time. 2022, 2023 was more to text and image. 2023 image-wise also was not good enough, stable until 2024. And then we start to have multi-model. So GPT-4o, when you see the O behind a model, then it's actually the Omni model. So a single model can cater for different modality. It can cater for text generation, it can cater for image generation, it can cater for audio generation, and so on. And 2025 is when the term agentic AI start to surface if you follow the domain. So it's not just doing a specific question and answer. It doesn't only give reasoning from your question. It can now do multitasking without asking you permission or asking you for direction. I mean, you can still do that when it comes to agentic AI, but it starts to become autonomous. Early this year, there's something called OpenClaw was released. Again, if you are in the domain, maybe you heard about OpenClaw. That one is a fully autonomous AI agent, and you give full access to your computer. Then you can simply give a task. So let's say book a holiday to Indonesia for 2 packs, budget no more than 2,000 ringgit and so on. Then it can actually do all the booking for you. The downside is you have to surrender your personal and confidential detail, access to your credit card, access to your bank information, and so on. There were cases where things doesn't go well, and there are cases where the agent did it the whole system, believing that there are problems with the system and so on. So there are cases like those, but things are improving. So what will happen in 2026? This is, I think, where agentic AI will become mainstream. We started to see that in some of the major software. If you subscribe to Google Pro, you subscribe to Microsoft Office 365, and of course OpenAI, the GPT, ChatGPT, the paid version, the Pro and Enterprise level, the agentic capability is already embedded. In ChatGPT, you can actually use the agent mode where you can perform certain instruction and it should be able to do it for you, multiple tasks at one time. I won't be able to cover that today because today is just the general introduction to ChatGPT and how we can use it for educational purpose. So moving on, there are a lot of details in this slide. Hopefully you can download the slide and go through this one. If you see any error, please let me know. I mean, I did check many times, but I couldn't find any spelling language error ataupun factual error. Now, we also cannot run away from discussing AI technology from the perspective of industrial revolution. For the past 3 to 4 years, the term IR 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0, I think seems to be the buzzword from many perspectives and also parties, like government, industry, and so on. Uh, I, I I want to discuss from this perspective, actually. I mean, if you go back to the first industrial revolution, who are the parties that was interested in this industrial revolution, actually? Is it the common citizen, the general public, or is it other party interested? So if you pinpoint Industry 1.0 or the first industrial revolution, the locality is in Great Britain, now known as UK, United Kingdom. The industry in focus is actually the cotton industry. Why cotton industry? During this era, 1780 something, the primary material for clothing is cotton. Because during this time, there's no synthetic material, there's no polyester, there's no rayon, and all this synthetic material. So cotton is the only source to make clothing lah. So that's why it fetch a high price in terms of commodity. That the problem is everything from planting, farming, picking up the cotton to the factory and the process in the factory is done mainly by human labor. Is fully done by human. So what's the main issue with human actually? So human, although we are a wonderful creation, and we come with a lot of weaknesses as well. And we need rest. We can fall sick. We can rebel. We probably do not like certain things. And so the one that is interested to solve this problem are the capitalists. The term capitalist was coined during this time, if I'm not mistaken. And they are the one that own all the factory and the rich people. And in their mind, it's very simple: how to get richer. And they look at the problem and they saw the root cause of the problem is human labor. So how to reduce dependency on human labor and increase automation is through mechanization. So during Industry 1.0, the technology being invented is steam power, and consequence to that is machine powered by steam power. And because of that, they reduce the dependency of human. So job losses, but at the same time, you create new job. You need someone to maintain the machine. You need someone to build the machine, someone to service the machine, and so on and so on. So this becomes trend across all the industrial revolution. And in every revolution, there are new job created, and there are of course job losses as well. 2.0 shift to US. This one is the assembly line and also the automobile factory, the Ford factory. And the main technology breakthrough is electrification. So with that, we created machine that is powered by electricity. Same trend, job losses, job creation, reduce dependency on human, increase automation. And at the end of the day, I mean, the gist of all these things is profitability. And so that's the end goal of all this industrial revolution, is to make someone richer, as simple as that. Third one, then we still in US, this is the introduction of PC and computer technology. And fast forward to current industrial revolution is IR 4.0, which is cyber physical system. So there is awareness and intelligence embedded in the solution. But the trend is still the same. Now comes AI into the picture. Now AI, even though follow the same trend, but the pace of of each happening is really fast. And we are talking about job losses at thousand and thousand of job losses and for the past maybe 1 or 2 years. And then new job, of course, are created, but at slower pace. So if you look at the job market, we are looking at computer science per se. Uh, the danger is there is a lot of automation across the board. I'm giving an example from computer science, since I'm from the faculty of computer science. You don't need programmer in order to build a system. If I have time, I can demonstrate. Any of you can actually issue a command to some of this AI, and it can build a system for you. Of course, there is a conversation in the industry. You can go up to a certain level of complexity in terms of building software and system using AI. You still need to have the fundamental knowledge on how to do that. But the question is, how relevant is our computer science program? At the moment, to be honest, not relevant at all. And upon graduation, one area that they used to go, which is a system or software developer, is obsolete. So we are looking at how to quickly change the curriculum to cater for the AI revolution. Hold on, let me try to open a chatbot just in case. Because I cannot see my chatbot at the moment. Okay, so far so good. Now, if you are as old as me, which I'm currently 51 years old, and I'm sure you know this picture, which is from the first Terminator series. And if you are a science fiction movie follower, I believe there are more than 150 movies related to AI since 1960s. One trend that you will observe when you watch any of these AI related movie, AI is always portrayed as the malevolent entity which is bad, entity yang jahat lah. Any reason why? Anybody? Why AI, especially Terminator, actually, they are portrayed as this bad robot that try to kill human. Drama. The logic behind that, imagine, let's say AI gain consciousness, and the projected time is 2037. Some of you will still be around at 2037. This is when AI reached singularity. So imagine this robot, they wake up in 2037, and the first thing that they notice, there are a lot of destruction in this world. And environmental pollution, maybe certain wars that happening that destroy a lot of things. And being a logical entity, and we assume they don't have any emotion, they have consciousness but no emotion. The first question that they will ask, what is the root cause of the problem? Who caused all the destruction in this world? And the answer to that is very simple. You don't have to be a robot or to have a super AI intelligent. Human is the cause of a lot of destruction. So what is the solution to that? Very simple. Eliminate human being, as simple as that. So if you put aside emotion and thinking from logical point of view, we as a being in this world is the source of a lot of destruction. And so other story behind that lah, and from religious perspective and so on. But let's not go into that today lah. So related to this, later there'll be a slide on the projection of the progression of AI. Exciting and scary at the same time. Now, let's start the conversation again. Is computer smart? Simple answer, no. Computer, starting from the modern computer ENIAC back in 1947, is simply a combination of metal, plastic, and whatever substance it is. It doesn't have any intelligence whatsoever. We assume computer is intelligent because they can do a lot of things, but the term computer itself comes from the term compute. It can calculate a lot of things very, very fast. And if you can deduce tasks to operations of mathematics, 1 and 0 binary, then computer can perform that tirelessly again and again with almost zero errors. But that is not smart. That is simply completing a task using certain algorithm. So from the beginning of modern computer system, human, as in researcher, scientist, has been obsessed on how to make computer as smart as human being as the reference factor. And even though human has a lot of flaw, but in terms of thinking, we are the reference. Okay, so that has been the assumption. Now coming back to the story why uh, the rich people, the capitalists want to replace human because of this list. And robot doesn't take coffee break. By the way, this is from Simpsons season 28, if I'm not mistaken, way back in the 90s, and they already predicted about future things if you follow Simpson. Now it's season 38 already. one of the longest standing cartoon series or animation series. So robot work 24/7. And in fact, if you go to China, they have something called a dark factory, a factory that operate 24/7 with no light whatsoever, totally in the dark, because machine doesn't need lights in order to operate. Robot doesn't use Facebook and WhatsApp. And while listening to me, ada yang tengah scroll Facebook, nothing wrong with that, kan? We are multitasking. In fact, my setup now, I have 6 monitor actually connected to my machine. And sometimes I got distracted with WhatsApp messages coming in, like so on. So that's one of the downside having so many monitors. Robot doesn't have bad day, kan? Bergaduh dengan bini pagi tadi datang office, muka masam saja, kan? So we are affected by all this drama as well. And they can do a better job at a fraction of the time. Usually they can perform tasks very, very fast. So all these are some of our drawback as a human being. And robot don't need training, only coding. Well, I probably can argue with that. Later we'll talk about that. That statement. Now let's talk about the stages or evolution of AI. And I mean, we know AI as a general term, artificial intelligence. But if you want to fine tune the AI, you can divide that into 3 categories. The one that we have been using for the past 25 years is under the ANI, narrow intelligence. There are different terms used by the domain, but this is the most common terms used. ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. So this one, they are good at solving a specific problem. And in health, for example, in transportation, they are not multi-purpose. They can only solve single problem. This one has been used by the industry for quite some time. The moment you type something in your Google search, behind that, there is an AI that look into all the databases and so on, that search for the best answer for you. And many, many other examples. But again, the point is AI are only good at solving one particular problem at any one time. Now, the goal for the next generation of AI, which is coming very soon, to be honest, prediction is either next year or the year after. And looking at the trajectory, there are 2 school of thought actually. There's one school of thought cakap memang we are very close. In fact, some believe that some of the big names like Google, OpenAI, and Microsoft already have solution in the lab, but they are delaying releasing that. OpenAI, if I'm not mistaken, let me try to think. Is it OpenAI or Google? Sorry, Anthropic Claude, Claude 4.7 now. Rumors saying that they already have version 5 in their labs, but they are not able to release because it's too good. Meaning that from cybersecurity perspective, if it falls in the wrong hand or wrong party, it can break a lot of system actually. So they are putting a lot of guardrails in the next release actually. But coming back to our discussion on general intelligence, general as in equivalent to human intelligence. It can solve many, many problems. And you can see the capability of the tools that you are using now, ChatGPT, Copilot, or Gemini from Google. In certain cases, yeah, it looks like they can solve problem as human. But again, there are different school of thought. And if you talk to expert, maybe like Prof. Rose, those from the domain claim that the current generative AI is simply a language model. Nanti saya terangkan dalam a few more slides lah. Yeah. It mimic intelligence but not actual intelligence. That one I will reserve for the next slides. And the ultimate progression of AI is this ASI, super intelligent. The term is singularity. So this guy, Ray Kurzweil, he's a computer scientist from US. He come up with the term singularity, whereby in his book, he predicted we will reach that probably around 2037, within our lifetime for most of you. I'm not sure about me, and banyak umur maybe, but imagine we reach to the point where similar to the Terminator just now. And so that's why the race now is to put guardrail into AI so that it can be controlled. Can it be controlled? If you ask me, very hard. Very, very hard. It's not like there is a push button that you can press and it will stop the AI technology. So people are coming up with a possible solution to put restriction of this. Imagine this ASI is 1,000 or million times smarter than a human being and can do things or solve problem in a fraction of time. So under the right hand, of course, it can do wonderful thing. Under the wrong hand, it can do a lot of bad thing. Or under its own consciousness, what it will do actually. So exciting but scary at the same time. Huh? Now coming back to the what's the term I should use? Obsession of researcher to reach intelligence, artificial intelligence. This guy, Frank Rosenblatt, is a biologist actually. Way back in 1957, he discovered how our brain works in terms of learning. He hypothesized that when we learn something, there is a new connection formed in our brain. So there is something called perceptron, and we learn something and we repeat many, many times. The connection will become stronger and we retain the knowledge. And this is the basis of learning. So the rule of thumb, usually you repeat 7 times in order to memorize something. So you move the knowledge from your short-term memory to long-term memory. And this is the reference on how we try to mimic human intelligence. So deep learning, one of the technology under AI, is actually mimicking that. So there is this, what do you call it, the nodes and so on. And only recently, if you have time, you can go to this link and hopefully it will load this short video showing how this link being formed in real time. I believe the video is speed up a few times, but you can see in real time how this link is being formed. It's a wonderful creation by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala again, and only now we can see that in real time. But that proved the conjecture by Frank Rosenblatt back in 1957. Now, fast forward to Gen AI. Why Gen AI become possible actually? Even though the precursor to that, all the component has been researched way back in the 40s, 50s even. The term artificial intelligence was coined in one of the conference back in 1957. 1957, more than 60 years already, the term itself. The pioneer for AI, named like Andrew Ng, Yan LeCun, siapa lagi? A few of those pioneer lah. Geoff Hinton. They have theorized this many, many years ago, whereby we will see intelligence within our lifetime. They already have the solution way back in the 70s and 80s, but they don't have the other component that make it possible. I'm talking about Gen AI. So the Gen AI that we have been using since 2022 in the mainstream, because of these three components, it has to learn from huge amount of data, and the corpus itself. And in fact, the Gen AI that you are using now, either from ChatGPT or from Gemini or Google, has consumed all available public data. The whole internet, this AI already learned from. And we are reaching this year, 2026, we have reached the limit whereby there's no more data for the AI to learn. And we have to generate synthetic data. This is another domain in AI where we generate synthetic data. So number one is data. Number two, algorithm. Algorithm, again, this one has been an ongoing process for the past 30, 40 years. But the breakthrough was back in 2016. A group of researchers from Google come out with an algorithm called the transformer architecture. The paper title, Attention is All What We Need, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the basis of the current Gen AI. Even though now they are new solution, but not in the mainstream yet, because the transformer architecture has some flaws in terms of the efficiency. And the third one is compute power. This is where the graphic card in your computer comes into the picture. And all these three become available within the last 10 years that make it possible for company to train the AI model. Okay. Just for curiosity, those that wondering what happened, if you have anak-anak, your children, yang main game, ataupun your spouse, I'm talking about the ladies lah, your husband, yang play computer ke, and this is the price of the GPU card. So what is GPU? The graphical processing unit, usually used for playing games lah, and certain game require GPU. There was the initial idea of having a graphic card. It's not the mandatory component in a given computer, but it's required if you want to play games. Certain game require GPU. 2014, GPU price skyrocketed because people found out the other usage of GPU. Was in that domain actually. It was used for Bitcoin mining, blockchain. And people found out that blockchain essentially is using matrix multiplication, and you can use GPU perfectly for that. So 2014, the price of GPU start to skyrocket, peak around 2018. People use GPU for Bitcoin mining and other crypto mining. And then it slowed down a little bit because people find alternative. They can use the dedicated ASIC chip to do the compute. And then 2022, then it start to skyrocket again, simply because GPU is one of the ingredients to provide the compute power in order to train the LLM, large language model. Now, again, for curiosity's sake, the latest series of GPU from NVIDIA, unfortunately, there are not many players in the GPU domain. The de facto is NVIDIA. They control around 95% of the market. AMD is the second one. They have good GPU, but the number of number of user consumer is not that many. Walaupun it has a good solution. Intel tried to go into the market with their Arc GPU, but again, they cannot penetrate NVIDIA control of the market. But coming back to the discussion, all these are from NVIDIA. This is the RTX series for the consumer. The current series, the 5000 series. The card alone, the 5090 card alone with 32 GB of VRAM, 12,000 ringgit, not the whole computer. So if you add the other component, the RAM, the CPU and so on, it can be around 16, 17,000. But this is for playing game. This is not used for training the AI. If you move to the next tier, again, the V100, this is for researcher. And A100 also enterprise level entry and also researcher. The one that is used, A100 was used in GPT 2.5 and 3 training, but the one used in the current model by most of the foundation model, Anthropic, Gemini, Google, and so on, is this H200. So this H200, a single card alone is 450,000. Sama dengan harga rumah actually. And how many do you need? A cluster of this, to my knowledge, this is again sharing. Out of the 20 public university in Malaysia, UM have 2 clusters. I think they just received it early this month. UKM probably another 2 cluster as well. USM, all the RU ada lah, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. Kena tanya Dr. Prof Rose. So this DJX cluster ada 6 H200. The whole this is the size of the computer. Of course, this is minimized lah the size kan. But this cluster yang ada 6 GPU H200 is 2.5 million. 2.5 million. And this is not sufficient to train the language model that power the Gen AI. So rumors saying lah, and because the company or OpenAI and all the big names never disclose the amount of cost that they are using in order to train their language model. The current model, if you are talking about GPT model 5 and 4, probably around in the range of 200 million USD to train the model. Just to train, not to run. They are two different things. When we talk about all these AI model, there are 2 phases, the training phase and the inference phase or the usage phase. So the train itself costs money and time. It takes many, many weeks or months to train, and it costs a lot. OpenAI, if you look at all the competitors, the most popular is OpenAI. There's no doubt about that. But they are burning money every day simply because to run their data center that power the GPT model that we use every day, per day alone, the cost of running the data center is 700,000 USD per day. That was number from last year, 2025. Now they have increased their compute power. I'm not sure what is the current cost lah. But last year, if you do the calculations, one day 700,000 USD per month kali dengan 30 is around 2.1 million USD per month, and they have multiple data center, not one data center. So the point is, they make a lot of money but still losing money because they need to run the data center to provide access to their GPT model. So they are expected to go bankrupt sometime next year if they don't find a new business model. So that one is another story. That's another story. Yeah. So the real cost of training LM. So it's not cheap. Now the implication is like this. That's why if you read the news, there is a term called sovereign model. What is sovereign model? Malaysia tried to build one. In fact, every single country, even Sarawak, our side, is mooting the idea of a sovereign LLM model. Why sovereign LLM? Why not just depend on OpenAI? Why just not depend on Google, Microsoft? Simply because of cyber security and national security. If you subscribe to OpenAI, for example, and then suddenly Osam Alman cakap he doesn't like Malaysia for whatever reason, cakap Malaysia cannot access GPT ataupun ChatGPT, then everything that we depends on, that's it. So that's why there is a local LLM called Ilmu Chat. If you follow, that one, siapa yang ada kawan dekat UM boleh tanyalah cerita dia kan. But again, that is a story for another day. So sovereign model. So in terms of national security, we need our own local ataupun large language model. Let me do a time. I have to be a bit faster. Okay. Again, to those not from the domain, this is the big picture. AI is a general term. What is AI? We want to mimic human intelligence. So that's the ultimate goal. Under the AI umbrella, the specific approach, it was machine learning. And then after that, deep learning. And the current one is Gen AI. So let's look at the difference between machine learning and deep learning quickly, just to give you a large overview. Now, let's talk about machine learning. Remember, we want to teach computer to be able to solve a problem. Now, let's say the problem is given this picture of a cat. How can we train computer to know that this is a cat? For us human, how do we learn actually? Do you remember you know a cat is a cat? At which age that you know a cat is a cat? Maybe the scenario is like this lah. And maybe you are 2 years old, you start walking, and then you hold your father's hand, you walk outside in one fine day. First time you see a cat, and then you ask your father, "Bapak, apa tu pak? What is that?" Your father say, "There's a cat," and your brain haven't registered that. Next day you go out again with your mother, your sibling, you see another cat, and different color, different shape. You say, "What is that?" Yeah, it looks like yesterday, but different color. That is a cat. And you repeat the process a few times, and this is when you start to learn about a cat is a cat. But what is exactly the learning process? And do you tell your brain on how to recognize a cat as a cat? And your brain has a specific way to learn. And so that is the neuroscience aspect of it. But if you want to mimic that learning process, what we need to do when it comes to machine learning, first and foremost, you have to identify what is the features or what are the features of a given object. How do you define this is a cat? A cat have two triangular shaped ears. A cat should have two eyes. A cat should have fur. A cat should have a whisker. These are the feature. The more features, the better, but the more compute that you need to do, processing. And those are the contradiction. When it comes to machine learning, usually we go around to 15 features. The more, usually you need more compute power. The biggest problem, the feature extraction process has to be done by human. There are attempts to automate to a certain extent, but again, the best is still human. So that's why human has to identify what are the feature of a given object and then start to train the machine learning algorithm. Machine learning is a term. Under machine learning, there are different type of algorithm: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and so on and so on. And then once trained, then you can use the model. You show another picture of cat, then the model can tell you. Tell you what? That's another story. All this approach, either machine learning, deep learning, or even Gen AI, what they tell you is a probability. It's not a yes or no. And it is actually a probability. So that's another thing that the domain expert probably will not tell you. So basically, when you run the algorithm and you show an image of a cat, it will tell you, oh, there is a 70% probability that that is a cat. Who decide 70% is sufficient that it is a cat? That one again depends on the domain. And usually, certain domain have certain specific range. Now, of course, the main problem for machine learning is the feature extraction. So how to solve this problem? Then again, people refer to how human learn and things that human doesn't really do this feature extraction. As I mentioned, when you learn a cat is a cat as a child, doesn't matter what age, you don't do this feature extraction. What happened is in deep learning, you need to have a set of input, okay, and this is how we learn just now. First day you look at a cat and you learn that is a cat. Second day you repeat the process. So similarly for deep learning, you have to start with a set or a batch of data. For example, 500 images or picture of a cat, different color, different breed, and so on. Then you dump that into algorithm. Again, deep learning is a category. Under deep learning, there are so many other algorithms. There is CNN, convolutional neural network, and so on, like around 15 to 17 different algorithms. Each one of them I have specific pro and cons. And you don't tell this algorithm about the feature. The algorithm will learn itself. What is the outer features, what is the inner feature, and so on. At the end of the day, it will understand that a cat is a cat. And you can repeat the process for other objects and so on. And this is an improvement. And later on, when you show an image of the cat, so you train first, you get a model, then you run the model, and you can start to use the model for inference or ataupun detection. But similarly to machine learning, it will tell you a probability actually. When you show a image or a picture to a trained model, that will tell you, oh, there is a 90% probability that there is a cat. So that is the difference between ML, machine learning, and DL, deep learning. Now, what is generative AI? Now, generative AI, the term generative, and the main difference is it has to have an input and it will produce an output. And input is the instruction. We call that a prompt. So when you use your ChatGPT, you write the instruction, that is the prompt, and that is the input to the AI. And it will produce an output. So generative AI, there are different type of output. It can be visual, it can be image, it can be video, it can be audio, it can be also text. That is the most common one. And it can be also code. And we can develop a system or build a system using AI. So it's actually multimodal. It sits here because it does utilize algorithm from deep learning and also machine learning. But there is something else actually. What makes Gen AI possible is something called LLM. This is the brain of the Gen AI, the large language model. What is LLM? Large language model. It is the brain of the AI that will process your input. So again, back to my statement earlier, Gen AI is simply an AI that predict what is the next word. As simple as that. So when you type your instruction, what is the capital of Malaysia? And that is the input to this LLM. LLM will take word by word and do the inference and what is the next possible word. And it will pick the highest probability. So basically, LLM is just predicting what is the next output. Of course, algorithm is much more complicated than that, but it is a language predictor. And this is the argument from one school of thought. So is that intelligent that resemble human being? Some say yes, some say no. So the argument is still going on. And these are the things that has been able to be done by AI, starting from the narrow AI and until the general AI, and information retrieval, pattern recognition, natural language processing, and so on and so on. But the red color, and if you ask me back in 2022, if you ask me, Johari, Do you believe AI can be creative or not? My answer is no. Back in 2022 and before that, I always believe creative domain belongs to human being. And can AI be creative? Can AI draw a picture? Can AI uh, compose a song, and so on and so on? And my perception during that time is no. But once you start to dwell into Gen AI, and until now, again, I'm not sure how many of you spend time in social media, TikTok and so on. Apa lagu yang terbaru tu yang gunakan AI? Um, if you follow apa tu yang Azlan The Proton Type dengan satu lagi tu Amirul Bahtiar kan, itu yang itu bila punya tu Suno AI, ya. Suno AI is one of the tools lah. I don't cover that today, unfortunately. There are so many AI generated music now. Which one yang kena ban tu? Ani Suraya punya lagu tu. I forgot the title of the song. Raja Gelek Produa, I don't follow. So Amirul Bahtiar. The song and the music itself was generated by AI. I believe Suno AI lah. I think that's the de facto platform untuk AI music. Ani Suraya punya lagu tu. Yeah, lagu Justice for Zara is AI, but the lyric is by that guy. He wrote the lyric, but the music was generated by AI. So that's one example. And again, as I mentioned, I started going into AI back in 2022, Gen AI, Gen AI. Kadang tu lupa nak guna term AI. Looking at images. Let me share my Instagram dedicated to AI generated images. Sekejap let me pull the screen from my another monitor to here. At the end of the slide, ada link to my Instagram. So yeah, I was playing around. All these are generated by AI, if you believe it or not. There is another slide for quiz actually. If you have time, then I will do that to check whether you can recognize an image is AI generated ataupun human creation. Um, so I was testing all this AI capability from different model, and this one, if I'm not mistaken, from Flux 2.0. That's another dedicated image model. Before that was Stable Diffusion 3.5 and so on. Ini mesti cakap saya kenapa Dr. Joe generate gambar arak ni. Testing kan. Apology for that kan. Dan seterusnya lah kan. I tested different medium and so on. And of course, what I learned from this exercise is how do you write the prompt and how do you translate what you want to generate or create into the prompt, which in turn generate all these images. It's not an easy process actually, because I'm not trained from the creative perspective. I'm not an artist. I'm not what you call it, the visual artist and so on. So to come up with images, you need to have either the domain knowledge ataupun you have been trained in this domain actually. This one, for example, the term is anamorphic. Anamorphic maksudnya dia kartun tapi dalam bentuk human being. So that one is anamorphic. So all those things I learn from time to time lah, just to test the power of this AI. So the creative domain, to be honest, I think even though it's not perfect, it's almost there. It's just a matter of time before AI generated artifact in terms of creative images, music, video, and so on, we reach human level. And there are so many videos, music, and so on generated by. I mean, if you follow, one of the things that you will notice, is this AI generated or not? Which means that people are now confused actually. So this one, what I mentioned just now, about creativity. Okay. Now, part 2, baru part 2 ni. 10.58. No break. Kalau you nak break, please silakan. But let me continue. Now, 2026, I don't ask who used ChatGPT. That one obsolete lah. I mean, way back in 2023, 2024, when I got a talk and so on, I did ask apa yang gunakan ChatGPT, who used ChatGPT and so on. But today, maybe it's the reverse. Who doesn't use ChatGPT actually? And I would believe the number is either almost zero ataupun very minimal lah. And I believe all of you have explored some sort of AI chatbot, either ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and so on and so on. DeepSeek, Kimi, so many lah at the moment kan. But the main conclusion, and before we proceed, all this is just a tool. You need to learn how to use the tool effectively. So that's the challenge actually. And contoh lah, given a knife and in the right hand can create beautiful artifact, and in the wrong hand it can be used for different things ataupun not efficient to be used. So you have to learn how to use the tool, and it has to be practiced. It's not something that you can read and be good about it. So ChatGPT, again, as I mentioned, Sam Altman is still the CEO. He was moved from the board, I think, a few years back due to internal conflict, lah. But he's still the main figure of OpenAI. As I mentioned, Elon Musk joined him as the founder back in 2016. Nerdy guy lah, kan, computer scientist. His background is, I think, in computer science, if I'm not mistaken. Now, why you want to use generative AI? To conclude, again, there are two terms lah. All these AI tool provide you with two things: to make things easier, memudahkan, and to make things faster, ya, mempercepatkan. So those are the things why we want to use AI tools. And these are some of the major platform lah, ya, major platform. I think majority still use ChatGPT because we are so used to that. Gemini, if you ask me, Gemini 2 months ago was very close to ChatGPT. But a few days ago, ChatGPT released 5.5, then break again the standing. Now 5.5 is really good, and part of it was the image generator that I mentioned just now. Gemini was a bit back lah. I think Google make a bit of a mistake. As I mentioned, if you look at the algorithm, the one I mentioned, the transformer architecture, the one that come up with the architecture and algorithm is actually Google back in 2016. For some reason, I'm not sure whether the leadership during that time under Google did not feel it was important. And so OpenAI was the lead. Now Google is coming close. Claude, their target now is not the consumer level. They are targeting enterprise level actually. And there are some other players, Microsoft again behind the rest of the pack. Copilot, okay lah. I mean, the good thing about Copilot, if you subscribe to Microsoft 365, I'm not sure whether you are A or IUM subscribe to 365 for the lecturers and the stuff. It is integrated into the tools. So under Office, under PowerPoint, under Excel, uh, you are A Gemini. Okay, Gemini, okay, but if your de facto tools untuk office work is Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, then we are losing out. So I subscribe personally to Microsoft Copilot, not Copilot, the 365 Pro, using the family plan actually. And then all the tools have access to Copilot. It makes things really, really much easier, but still not as good as the top three. I would say the standing is ChatGPT number one, Gemini number two. Claude is very close actually, but as I mentioned, they are focusing on enterprise level. Perplexity, I play around a bit, but somehow, even though the browser is good, the comment browser, I'm so used to ChatGPT to be honest. And because over time, ChatGPT will know you better than your spouse actually, unfortunately. Uh, so macam dah kahwin dengan ChatGPT lah, walaupun ada platform have better tools and takut kan, but that's the thing. Mistral is another player from France, the French company lah. They were there, I think, last year, but somehow they are falling back. Now, on the other side of the world, again, if you follow the fight between the US and China, these are some of the China-based model. They are good actually, and in terms of cost, they are much lower. If you are serious into using their API, and they are a fraction of what the Western world punya model cost you. So I play around with DeepSeek, Kimi, GLM, Quen. These are the four top models. The latest Minimax is actually very good, 2.7, but I don't have time to play with it. But reading from reviews, this seems to be the latest. Now, the good thing about some of these China model, they release as open source. So if you have computer which is good enough to run this model, then you can access the model in your own computer without paying. Now, the downside is, I haven't come to that part. Our university management, I'm not sure about UIA lah kan, tapi across the board, there is start to have this kind of policy lah, and use AI tools. But where is the money to subscribe? I mean, ChatGPT, the free version, usable up to a certain extent. All these, they have the free version and the paid version. I played around with both actually. And ChatGPT, Gemini Cloud, the free version limitation usually number of messages or prompt that you can issue. And second, sometimes it gives you the slightly older version. And for example, ChatGPT, they released 5.5 3 days ago. The free users still haven't got access to that. Free version, I think, still 5.3. So I paid for this ChatGPT, 20 USD per month. Claude, fortunately, I got access from the university subscription, the Pro version. Claude, I also play. Because this one, I use it mainly for system development. So on top of all this, there are a few other services. So on AI alone, I have to come up with at least 500 ringgit per month to subscribe. But it's worth it, to be honest. And to be honest, it's worth it. Now, again, just to clarify, when you use all these model, they are usually two different things. The front part that you are using, that is the interface. We call that the chat module. And so when you open ChatGPT, that is the front interface where you interact. The brain is the model itself. Contoh, ChatGPT that you use, the name of the interface or the chat application is ChatGPT. That's the app. But what power this app is the GPT model, generative pre-trained lah. That's the term for that. I refer to the way the algorithm works, GPT, and the latest version is 5.5. For example, if you use Gemini, Gemini, the model name is also Gemini, and the interface is also Gemini. They are the same. Claude, the model, they have a name for it, Opus, Haiku, and so on, lah, and the differentiation to that. And of course, the company is Anthropic. The company that built the system is Anthropic, Gemini from Google, Copilot from Microsoft, ChatGPT from OpenAI, and so on and so on. But they are always two part of it. One is what you interact with, the application itself, but behind there is the brain of the whole system. Now, this is the evolution of GPT. As I mentioned, the mainstream GPT was back in 2022. I remember it was 3.0, if I'm not mistaken. So there might be a bit of mistake here. And, and up until today is GPT-5. Again, if you have been following this, the rate at which the company releasing new model is so fast. 5.5 was released 3 days ago. 5.4 was 49 days before that. So in the span of less than 2 months, there is a new sub version coming out. And that's the game played by all the players. They are competing with one another. Lah. And that put you into the state of FOMO actually, fear of missing out. Dah keluar model baru, a new model coming out. Then I tell you, oh, F5.5 is good. And you start to wonder, how can I get 5.5? 90% of the time and 90% of the user probably doesn't have all the latest model actually. And you can simply use maybe 4.0 from, was it last year? June last year, if I'm not mistaken. It's stated here 2024, but I remember, 4.1 was last year. Sorry about that. I also lost track already. But this is just one particular company, OpenAI GPT, and the rest of the player is also doing the same thing. We are not sure how long this game will last. And so it put us into a lot of pressure, plus the planning itself. And not easy to plan when they are releasing this on monthly basis actually. this is the comparison between the Western LLM and China LLM. So this one, I think, just to repeat what I mentioned just now, some of the version and the company behind that. So maybe you don't notice the big name under the China LLM. Quen, for example, from Alibaba. Wah, ada spelling mistake kat sini. Now I noticed that. This is again generated by ChatGPT Imagine 2.0. Okay, one mistake I noticed. Huawei have their own model called Pangu, Minimax from this company, iFlyTech. Zhipu is actually a big name in China. They are the one that come up with the GLM model or the Z model. And also, of course, this one, Xinhua. Xinhua, if I'm not mistaken, world ranking number 2, if I'm not mistaken, last year. And so they come up with their own LLM. This is also being asked many times. Can we detect usage of ChatGPT or other AI tools from student perspective? Answer to that, almost impossible. Trinity try to do that, fail miserably. I don't really follow on this actually because um, it's almost impossible to detect this one. And I think the right approach is how we can allow students to use it to their benefit. This is not something that we can stop. We just need to find a way where it can assist student in learning. So that's the ultimate goal. Of course, we are scrambling to find ways to do this. Last week, I had midterm exam, 700 students. Impossible to do it face to face physical. So we come up with MCQ 60 soalan 1 jam. And due to the online nature, walaupun kita dah put randomized question bank lah and so on, average mark is 19 over 20. And we tried everything. We use safe browser. If you use model ataupun LLM based on model ataupun I think a lot of LLM ada something called safe browser. That one we use. And then we also randomize question bank. 60 soalan daripada 600 question bank kan. And then we limit the time so that they don't have time to talk to their friends and so on. Yet the assumption is, of course, there is no definitive proof lah. I think they can still manage to use some sort of AI tools. Because AI tools now, you can simply use your mobile and you just screenshot. In fact, you can live stream and ChatGPT, you can actually do that. You live stream and it will give you the answer on the spot. So 19 out of 20 for 700 students, that is not the norm. So again, we are trying to catch up with the assessment itself. So this one is another area for discussion for us as academician. This one I did mention about the cost. I believe the policy at the university level, they should provide access to the paid version. If they want us to use AI tools lah. Kan? Kalau tidak macam mana nak gunakan. Now, just to recap, of course, the interface changes from time to time. This is from yesterday. I had similar slide from a few weeks ago. Pun dah bertukar. So if you open your ChatGPT, this is the paid version. Subscribe to the plus version, 20 USD per month. This is the main areas lah. So it is divided into the main interface where you can ask your prompt. And then you can fine tune actually. There is option to create image. There's option to do deep research. There is option to do web search. And there's also option for agent mode. Of course, there are limitations. Deep research under the ChatGPT Plus. How many per month? 15 if I'm not mistaken. They always change the cap or the ceiling for each of these tools. And you can connect to external tools as well. This one, you used to be able to select model specifically. But now they don't actually mention the model. This is, I think, marketing strategy lah. And a few weeks ago, you can still see 5.4 instant, 5.4 thinking, 5.4 something else. There are 3 modes. Now they remove the model number so that you do not know exactly what is the model that you're using. And because it used to be a question that always being asked by the customer, like, which model that I'm subscribing at the moment. This one, you can create gems. The gem is reusable tools lah. So you can create gems so that you can advertise that to other people to use. There is something called project. So you can put a few chat conversation into a similar project, so that when you do the conversation, it will be limited to your project, and these are the history. So it's a very simple interface, and of course you interact mainly from this prompt. Okay, part 3. 11:13. Uish, banyak lagi ni. Tak apa. Now, prompt engineering. As I mentioned, this is the key thing. And even though there are template for this, but to me, this is something that we need to learn from experience. The more that you use, the more that you learn about prompt engineering, then the better output that you will get. If you ask those from computer science, we always refer to this term like GIGO, and garbage in, garbage out. And we can still use that for prompt engineering. In order for you to get a good outcome or answer from any of the AI chatbot or tools, the question has to be good as well. And writing a good prompt require practice, as simple as that. You cannot imagine you write maybe 2, 3 words for the instruction and expect the AI to understand what you want. You always use the analogy lah. I mean, assume this AI like a real human being. Kan? Kalau you cakap dengan this human being, create CV for me. Mesti dia tanya, what is the format? A4 ke, portrait ke, landscape ke? What is the style? And you want modern style ke? You want classical style ke? And what do you want to include inside? And so on and so on. So if the AI doesn't have the detail, it will start to make assumption. And based on the assumption, either you get correct assumption or you can get rubbish outcome from the AI. It's not the fault of the AI. AI simply doesn't have sufficient information to work on. So this is something that takes practice, and unfortunately, as a human being, we like to take shortcut. So you have to force yourself to be able to provide as much detail as possible to the AI in order to come out with a good output. So that's lesson number 1. If you search around, there are a few framework that you can follow. More or less, they are the same. What constitute as a good prompt? There must be context. There must be some sort of task that you instruct, and plus the detailed instruction itself. And most at the time, and this is my personal experience, a single prompt or a single try will probably not give you the answer that you want, especially for complex tasks. And it has to be cyclic in nature. You try first time, tak puas hati, you improve, and so on. So that's how it works. It's not a magical tool that you can ask and then you simply get the answer you want. It doesn't work that way. And maybe 80% of the time, simple question, simple answer, you are satisfied, it's okay. But the moment you want to make full use of this AI tool to the fullest capability, then this prompt engineering is very important. And it is cyclic in nature. On average, I would say I have to try at least 3 to 4 times in order to get the response that I want. So follow this structure. Google also provide their own structure. We have been using this to teach the school children around the area on how to use Gemini, because Gemini included dalam dilemma kan. So we are teaching them on how to use the tool properly lah. So if you follow Google prompt engineering framework, they have this task, context, references, and then followed by evaluate and iterate. So this is the same as the cyclic nature just now. So there are examples, and red color is the task, and context is what. And then if you get the answer not satisfied, evaluate first, and then you repeat the process by providing more details or instruction. There are many versions of similar framework. I think at the moment around 7 to 8 different framework. Use it to your advantage. Cheat sheet pun banyak juga kan. Siapa yang nak cari boleh. These are some of the things that I found around. Cuma the latest one, what I have read the review, this is on the image generation. Image generation is a different ballgame, as I mentioned. When you want to generate image using AI tools, you have to understand most of the terminology lah. Gemini using the nano banana image generator, and if you follow the domain, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Kalau masa kita cuba compare and contrast after this, that one you have to be very specific. A nano banana image, but 5.5 surprisingly, it has a thinking mode. When you instruct the ChatGPT or GPT 5.5 model on image generation. Surprisingly, it can think on its own on the details, and the output is actually a very good quality image lah. So it has the ability to think for itself, and which is interesting. Now, this is the part where I won't be able to cover all. Ada banyak ni. Ini ada dalam 20 different use cases lah. The idea is like this. And before we go into the idea, let me highlight on a few things. This is what we do as educator or academician lah. And within our circle, we understand this very much. But outside that, there's a lot of perception. Lecturer ni buat apa? What the lecturer does on daily basis? Just mengajar or teaching, go to lecture, that's it. We wear different cap at any one time. Banyak actually. And teaching learning alone, you can split this into maybe 15 different subtasks and 2 semester per year, and you understand what I'm talking about. On average, I think as an academician, especially on teaching and learning, we are spending around 40 to 45, 50% on what I assume as low value or non-high value kind of tasks, administrative in nature. And so again, later, we want to see how AI can assist us to replace this admin tasks so that we can focus on high level value activity as an academician. Research sama juga. We're not talking about research per se, but under research, the supervision, the paper writing, application for grant, and so on and so on. So across the board, tak cukup tangan dan kaki as an academician. Especially those yang ada academic leadership role and so on lah. So you understand what I'm talking about. So now how we can use AI to our advantage. But there's another scenario. This one again scary lah. Some of you in administrative position, maybe you can argue with me on this. What I can foresee when it comes to usage of AI for us as an academician. Now, yes, we are finding ways to assist us to do our day-to-day job. At some point in the future, and looking at the current financial situation, and the number of position for lecturers either maintain or reduce. And there's no new warrant pejawatan, as simple as that. So what will happen, those that will retire, pension, might not be replaced by a younger cohort lah, simply because management will say, use AI to assist you. If you can use AI to do a lot of things, why you need to have more lecturers. So that's one direction that I can see, simply because of financial restriction. If money is not an issue, then why not have as many lecturers? And of course, certain program or certain field like engineering have this board for engineer requirement and so on. Medicine, for example, those are the professional body requirement that limit the ratio of lecturer to students lah. But for majority, we are not sure about our future actually. And are we replaceable? That's another discussion. What are the jobs or the tasks related to us as academic that can be replaced by AI and cannot be replaced? And someone say the rule of thumb, as long as involve human connection, AI cannot do that. I'd like to argue on that as well. But if you have time, we can argue on that. But moving on, if I pick the teaching and learning alone, and looking at the different duration, I assume we can subcategorize as this. Given a semester, there are tasks that we do pre-semester, there are tasks that we do during the semester, and there are tasks that we do post-semester. And I'm pretty sure you are well versed on this. Before the semester start, you have to prepare the course, the curriculum, the course outline, the course plan, whatever it is. And then you build the content, the lecture note, the assessment, and things like that. And so on and so on. Post semester, you have to compile everything, the course portfolio. Ui, banyak ni. And so when you look at this, a lot for the teaching and learning alone. So the question is, what are the tasks that can be replaced or assisted by AI? Actually, a lot. And in fact, I'm starting to come up with a framework and start to play around with agent-based solution so that there are things that you can automate. So I can set the timer. So habis this semester, what are the things that need to be compiled? Everything done by the agent lah. Nanti dah siap, nanti maybe I can share. And that one still on testing lah. Using open code dengan open claw. But coming back to our discussion, let's look at some of the things that we can do. This one learning style. This one I think is not critical lah, because we don't really conduct our teaching and learning based on specific learning style. Because for me and for our faculty, for some reason, I'm not sure what is the main reason, we start to see a lot of learning disability students that come into the mainstream. They're not registered under the OKU. They don't have the OKU card. The one that we experience a lot for the past 2-3 years is autism, ranging from severe to mild autism, and then ADHD, and a few others lah. So not easy. I'm not sure how many of you have experience dealing with maybe autism. The normal way teaching and learning will not take care of them. As simple as that. I have one case that was last year actually, first year student, severe autism. 20 minutes into the lecture, he started to lie down on the floor. When I asked what happened to you, he said, I'm simply tired. Actually, the mother already told us lah, if he happened just to lie down on the floor, I let him be. Dia memang macam tu dia cakap, and nanti what you can do. After 10 minutes, he will wake up again and just sit down. So those are the things because we are not trained, to be honest, to deal with this situation. And so the point is there a way to have different teaching style for different type of student learning capability? And so the answer yes, you can use ChatGPT or any tools to assist you with that. But this one just an example, and this is not the mainstream. Let me pick something that I think is very, very useful. This one from June last year, to be honest, almost a year ago. This is how to create flowchart and so on. In fact, the current ChatGPT has built-in capability to generate flowchart. A year ago, if you want to create flowchart for whatever purpose, usually the way is you generate a syntax called Mermaid syntax. Then you have to copy this syntax into another tool called Mermaid Live in order to generate the flowchart. Now tak perlu lagi. Now you can go to your ChatGPT. ChatGPT, can you create flowchart for these particular steps? You will be able to create the actual flowchart within ChatGPT itself. You can try that. I mean, I've tried that many months ago and it works. So this one just to share what happened last year. So last year is a two-step process. First, you create this, we call this a Mermaid syntax, a GraphTD format. And then I have to copy this into another platform called Mermaid Live, and then it will generate the flowchart. Cloud and ChatGPT, to my knowledge, can do this as of December last year. And almost perfect, I would say, to flowchart. This one, planning instruction. Maybe I'll show you what I think is of high value. This one, discussion and lesson prompt, training outline. Siapa yang selalu conduct training, you can use ChatGPT to come up with the training outline. Things that you do for probably a few hours last time can be done in minutes or even seconds. Because one of the things that I have to do regularly is to come up with the training outline, either for corporate sector, for government sector, and so on. So, yep, ChatGPT or any of the tools can actually do that. Quite straightforward. Now, lesson number 2, which is still applicable. If you want to accomplish a task, for example, you want to come out with a training outline. The way that works well, you start, of course, first with giving as much details to the tools. Doesn't matter like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. The more details, the better outcome. That's number 1. But it will not be able to give you the whole outline in the first go. So usually the approach is like this. Come out with the outline first, and just the outline, not the details. And then you move from one outline to another outline. So usually what happen is we start with the skeleton of the training program. Dia akan bagilah description apa learning outcome and so on. And then we start going section by section. If I'm okay with the description, then we can move to the next session. So we'll ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT expand the learning outcome to cater for this particular training. That it will come up with the details here. Because if you look into the technical detail, why ChatGPT and a lot of this model unable to provide you with the full answer in one go is what we call the context window problem. And computer science dia faham lah. So it doesn't have the ability to understand from start to the beginning solution because the context is too big. There is a limitation on the number of token that it can process at any one time. So you have to give piecemeal lah. Sama juga bagi arahan dengan anak-anak. If you give instruction to your child, cerita panjang-panjang, dia cakap yang ujung tu je yang faham. So similar to that. So you have to start first. Okay, can you go to the shop? Dia katanya, okay, untuk beli apa? So that's the kind of interaction. It has to be cyclic in nature. So again, this is something that you have to try. I'm sure you have tried this. And if you don't get the things that you want, then you have to cycle through the section one by one until you get what you want. So the limitation is still there. The latest model, contoh, let me try to think. 5.5, the context window has been expanded to 1 million token. That one is equivalent to 500 pages document. That's what they claim, and it's not proven yet because it was released a few days ago. That one was up from 250,000 token window. So there were 250,000 token, which is around 100 pages plus plus. It goes up to 1 million token window. They claim around 500 pages. So imagine dumping 500 pages kind of information and it can still understand from beginning until the end. Before this, apa yang dia buat? He follow the U shape. Dia faham yang awal-awal sampai di tengah tu dia cakap I'm fed up already. And sampai ujung dia faham balik. So that's why if you dump too many things to the AI tools, usually you will not be able to understand the full context of the information. It's not accurate in the sense lah. And those are the things that I learn from time to time. So this is the training outline and so on. Course outline pun sama juga. One of the things that we have to do as an academician, buat new program, come up with CQI, curriculum review, and so on and so on. And of course, you have to come up with a new course outline. So again, the structure is the same. And now, if you notice, and some people argue about the effectiveness of this, usually you start with what we call as apa term dia pakai tu? You ask AI to assume a specific personality. Contoh, assume yourself as an expert in course planning for university. People ask, why you need to tell AI their role? But proven by research, there is a paper on this. When you give a role, specific role to this AI, it will think from that context and perspective. And so it doesn't hallucinate as much. So this one works. And so you cakap dengan dia lah, you are an expert in cancer detection, for example. And then you continue with the next instruction and so on. So I start with this one and then I continue. So again, this is cyclic in nature. It's not in one go. It is a conversation with AI. Generate course outline based on the following info. And the integrate course for introduction to programming. This one actually tak cukup. This is, to be honest, is very simplistic. It doesn't have the detail. But still, AI managed to come out with an acceptable course outline. So this is the outcome from this prompt. Generate course outline based on the following info, undergraduate course, and introduction to programming. So certain topic, domain, or problem, it does have sufficient information in order to generate. So this one straightforward. Nampak, touch up a little bit, and good to go. This is much more detailed because this one not following the format by UNIMAS, the table 4 and so on. Again, I'm sure you're familiar with that. You have two options actually. To me, the best, when you want to do something very specific, you provide a sample. Upload a sample of your own course outline. You tell the AI, this is a sample outline, follow the structure and the template, and then you give the instruction. generative course outline, blah, 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 and so on with details. And it managed to come out with close to accurate. This part, the CLO is not following the standard template that used by us. So again, you have to go another round of improvement. So again, this is cyclic in nature. Another one is presentation slide. We can move daripada course outline, creating material for your course and so on. But there's another tool that I think is much more useful, Notebook LM, which I believe some of you dah start gunakan. So this one, again, question being asked a lot, how to generate slide, especially PowerPoint lah. And I don't usually use AI to generate slide because simply I'm not satisfied with the UI UX or the design. Content wise tak ada masalah, and content wise no problem. But when it comes to the look and feel, to me AI is still not there yet. And even the Copilot in PowerPoint, which can generate good enough design, still not to my liking lah. And that one is a personal preference. But content wise, you can do this. Again, it's cyclic in nature. If you ask AI, come out with a 40 slide for, let's say, introduction to programming, learning unit, introduction to programming. I can guarantee it will not be give you the details. And you still have to go slide by slide and tell the AI, can you improve and elaborate on certain point? So far, I haven't found a way to come out with a single prompt that generate a complete slide, whereby every slide have all the details that you want for that particular learning unit. Belum jumpa lagi lah. Maybe I haven't tried to use the right prompt, but so far not there yet, I believe. So in terms of slide generation, still not 100% good enough lah. So you still have to go through manually one by one. What else? There is tool that you can connect last time actually. There's something called Slide Maker, but this one I think obsolete already. This one from August last year, if I'm not mistaken. There are tools that you can use to connect to your ChatGPT that can create you with this slide. If you have access to the Microsoft 365, and then you can go to your PowerPoint, which is this one, and dalam design tu dia ada Copilot assisted slide generator. So you just simply type the topic that you want to present, and it will create the slide for you. Again, you have to probably go through it manually. This one saya skip, interactive classroom game. Jadi kalau nak buat gamification boleh. Rubrik, ini yang saya rasa sangat berguna. So you come up with your assignment for example. You write your assignment, itu pun you boleh gunakan AI, tak ada masalah. And which come to the next argument. Is that ethical for us academician lecturer to use AI to come up with the assessment and so on? Nanti kita bincang kemudian kalau ada masa. So the assignment part boleh. Memang I use AI to generate the assignment part. Of course, you have to be the domain expert. And then you understand and know whether it's right or wrong. The rubric itself, again, you can use AI to generate. This will probably take me around maybe 2 hours if I want to do it manually and writing all these words and so on. So writing the description to me is not high level value. That one is just descriptive. And the high level value is to determine what is the form of assessment. So that one we can use AI. And of course, you have to double check whether everything makes sense or not. But this one takes seconds to generate. Again, the best thing what I did, I have a sample rubric and then use that as a template, pass to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, this is a sample rubric. Create similar rubric for this particular assignment, group project, lab exercise, whatever it is. And then it will come up with the rubric. And most of the time, it's good enough for me to accept without any modification. Itu rubric interactive classroom game ada juga. Oh, this one, ini yang best nih. MCQ. I used to use ChatGPT to generate MCQ question following the Bloom taxonomy and C4 ke, C5 ke, C6 ke. It depends on your requirement lah. But I think starting from October last year, I switched to Notebook LM. Which to me, not to say better lah, but somehow easier to use. And that's the term that I would like to use. There's nothing wrong to use ChatGPT or any other tools to generate question. So what you can do, you can either upload your lecture note and contoh LU1 lecture note, and from there you just simply ask question, generate 10 MCQ question. If you want to be specific about the Bloom taxonomy, just mention C4 or a mixture of C4 and above. And then it will give you something like this. And again, you have to be the domain expert in order to validate whether this is correct or not. And MCQ apa lagi yang berguna? Course outline or assignment. Sorry, ini yang saya masukkan tadi. There are different approach. You can straight away go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I want to create assignment, undergraduate level course, the title of the course, the level of complexity, and so on, and then give the instruction based on what you want to generate an assessment for. Maybe from LU1, LU2, LU3. Ataupun sometimes I use the course plan and course outline. I upload either the PDF ataupun kalau malas, just copy and paste from the course outline. These are the LU. Can you suggest a suitable assignment that cover the first half of the LU? And give more details. What is the weight? What is the coverage, level of complexity? Again, lesson number 3, trial and error. It works for me, might not work for you. So you need to create your own approach to this. But the general approach is always the same in order to create the assessment. You can cover anything that you want. Quizzes, assignment, group assignment, pair assignment, whatever it is, possible to use all this AI. Ini contoh dia lah. Contoh is network design planning and for small business. And student pakai AI untuk jawab, kita pakai AI untuk buat soalan kan. Ujung-ujung AI yang pandai, both of us, the student and the lecturer yang semakin tak pandai. So another discussion point. This is another rubric using like a scale. Now you can export kan dalam ChatGPT, dalam Claude, most of the platform. You can export. Sekejap ada echo. Now okay already. You can export to various format lah. And for ChatGPT, you can export to Word, you can export to PowerPoint, you can export to Markdown, Markup. Now covered by ChatGPT, tak ada masalah. This is again another example group project. So this is the requirement, and you come up with all these details lah. So I've been using this since 2024 ataupun end of 2023 untuk memudahkan, to speed up and to ease up. FYP project, the title. Student always ask, do you have any title for me? Nah, ambil 100 title, but which one that you want? This is a bit technical. So even the source code and so on can be generated. What else? This is the flowchart that I mentioned. I won't be able to go into the details of all this. So this one, let me try to pick another one. Question. Image generation. I'm again a visual person. I use a lot image generation to put suitable illustration in my slide. To me, a slide with only text can be very boring to the students. So I like to put suitable visuals to assist the students. So now let's go to Notebook LM. And I'm not sure how many of you have not heard about Notebook LM, ataupun heard about it and haven't tried. If not, then please do so. I think this is a very useful tool. This is from Google. It used to be in the lab mode, whereby Google was testing this and was released into the general public, I believe, October last year. It goes into the mainstream Google tools. It used to be under the Google Lab set of tools. The free version has full functionality. The only limit per notebook, you can upload up to 15 sources, as in 15 document, 15 URL sources, or copy and paste from somewhere. Document, unfortunately, I believe at this point of time, still PDF format. So you need to convert any document that you have into PDF. Now, what differentiate between Notebook LM and ChatGPT and also Gemini? ChatGPT and Gemini, when you ask a question, when you write the prompt, it will cover a wide range of sources. The good thing about that, the answer can be what's the term I should use? Um, it will cover all angle of possibility when it try to answer your question. But at the same time, that can lead to hallucination lah. Because all these tools, they are not trained to say no. And if it doesn't know something, it will pretend that it knows something. And it happens all the time. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But Notebook LM will only refer to the source that you provide. It will not deviate from that. If you put one document, it will refer to that document. So it's very, very specific. Right? If you go for the Pro version, then the limit goes to 500 sources per notebook. So far, 50 is more than enough. I do subscribe to the 500. At any one time, I don't use more than maybe 20 or 30, but there are possibilities. And I have one postgrad student. I did see that someone mentioned that postgrad student have access to the uh, Pro version system SLR lah. And system apa tu lama literature review and that one can go up to 1,000 plus document kan journal. So my students have started to use that to assist them. Apart from that, if you go into the tools, and they have released so many new tools for the past 6 months. Now there are more than 9 tools, to be honest. And if you look at the tools over here, the one that I always use is infographic, quiz in order to generate MCQ, kemudian mind mapping, and also the slide deck as in the slide. Now the slide you can edit. It used to be image-based slide that doesn't allow you to edit. If you want to edit, you have to instruct again or prompt again. So a bit troublesome. So how do I use this actually? Just to give you an example. So for a given learning unit, and I created infographic for that particular learning unit. The images in my slide I generate using different tools. But the slide itself, I do it manually because as I said, I'm not really satisfied with the existing tool to generate the slide. And in terms of the look and feel, content-wise, no problem. Content, I do generate using ChatGPT plus my own content from previous semesters. But the one that I started to use since 2 semesters ago, for every slide, the infographic, the short description. This is from the video overview. If you go back to the tools just now, ada audio overview or video overview, dua-dua boleh digunakan. Audio overview is still in the podcast mode. There will be two personality that talk to one another. Kan? And then mind map, they have released a new tools to edit mind map. That one I haven't tried yet. That was I think 2 or 3 days ago. So previously it was simply a mind map that you can play around, expand and minimize, but you cannot manipulate the look and feel and other things. But the latest tool, I believe you can edit certain things after it has been generated. And then of course this MCQ generator. So just now when I mentioned the midterm 600 question in the question bank, that one generated by Notebook LM. It used to be a very tedious process. MCQ easy to mark but difficult to create. It's time consuming. So these are the tools that I use. And so now my lecture note, how come you have that only in your that one? I don't think so lah. Even ada someone share in the chat GPT. Usually what happen is because I subscribe to the Pro version lah. To my knowledge, Google will release some of the tools to the free version over time. Contoh yang try new mind map customization, this is the screenshot from yesterday. So the free version mungkin belum ada access, but I don't think you have only that. Nanti saya check balik my free account. By right, you should have access to all these things.
Bro, it's not
Yeah.
the free version, it's enterprise version.
Oh ya ke?
Ah,
Yang IIUM subscribe?
uh, only 20, about 20 staff, academic staff get this license.
I
Uh,
think talk to the admin. Takut admin disable certain feature.
no, no, it's
Tak ada
just
ke?
that for now, for enterprise, yes.
Request lagi takkanlah even the free version have this if I'm not mistaken. Kan?
Because because they said they want to prevent, because it's only within apa KPT, all these thingy lah.
Macam mana tu suruh pakai AI tapi ada limit tak boleh lah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Okay,
why we need to go to and fro from Pro and Enterprise. If I
I
want to create slide, I
see.
need to go to Pro. If other deep thingy, I need
Kan?
to go to Enterprise.
Okay, never mind. I think something that you need to resolve at the management level lah kan.
Mm, okay.
So to continue, I'm sorry I have to go a bit quickly because masa dah nak habis. This some of the infographic lah. Again, I'm a visual person. I'm not sure whether I'm creative or not because it's not generated by me, but I like beautiful things like this lah. So these are some of the infographic for each of the learning unit. This is for another course actually, Introduction to AI. And this one, ini contoh ini cerita semalam lah. Saya ni suka disuruh buat poster. And again, I'm not sure whether I'm creative enough, but this is from yesterday. And someone asked me, the person that usually do the poster for the faculty tak sihat. So they want to come up with the poster because the event is supposed to be today. And so within the span of less than 4 minutes, and this is the information given, I input the schedule and the picture of the presenter plus our faculty logo. And then the prompt, mana prompt dia? Sini, simple je prompt dia. Create a professional poster infographic for the above session. Blah, blah, blah. So this one using ChatGPT Imagine 2.0 model, the latest one from 3 days ago. And terus dia keluarkan this poster. So I did double check. Spelling error ada ke tidak? Tak ada. Perfect. And subsequently, these two different version lah. So within the span of 10 minutes, I managed to generate 3 different poster. So what happened to graphic designer? Kesian diorang kan. So those are the things that is happening. This one I will not go through. This is from another platform, Claude. I also use this. They release quite a lot of things for the past few weeks, but this is probably for another session. Now the last part, this one I can go quickly lah. I think what is the impact to us as an educator? Job losses. The belief is as an educator, maybe we are still safe for the next 5 to 10 years, but things are changing. And as I mentioned, maybe the job is there, but the number of slot of place will be reduced. Kalau kita perlukan currently 60 lecturer for 2,000 student, it might be 30 lecturer for the same number of student. That is one scenario that I can foresee. Human are still in the loop, but less number of people. In fact, there is an irony. There is a picture from internet a few weeks ago. Factory worker in Bangladesh, yang mesin jahit tu kan, they wear a camera on their head with the purpose to capture what they are doing, and that video and images will be used to train the AI. Eventually, we replace them in maybe a few months' time. So they are helping to destroy their own job, but they don't have a choice. They are being instructed to do that. And I'm not sure about our profession as educator. I have a belief also there are things that we cannot replace with automation and tools and on the human side, but there are things that we can start to use to our advantage lah. Geoff Hinton, one of the pioneer in AI, back in 2025, there was an interview between him and the interviewer lah. Interviewer tu tanya dia very simple question. What is the safest job at the moment? Terus cakap tukang pipe, plumber. Why? AI cannot do that job yet. In fact, the reality is it happened to me a few weeks ago lah. Pipe bocor kan, nak tukar sendiri malas, panggil tukar pipe tak sampai 20 minit, RM150 kan. So TVET lah kan, anything that use hand is probably the safest job. But again, that bound to change, maybe in 10 to 15 years time. So anything that require brain is definitive to be replaced. Because AI, there are two part of AI. One is the hardware part, the automation, the robotic automation, and of course the other one is the thinking AI in terms of software agents and so on. Hallucination, I talk about that. And now in the mainstream media banyak digunakan. If you notice RTM, daripada pagi sampai petang lagu generated by AI, avatar generated by AI. I know the story behind that lah. I think there's a individual from JDN, Jabatan Digital Negara, that was posted there to help the previous KP, Ketua Pengarah, to revolutionize their way of working using AI. Sebab tu if you look at RTM, banyak element of AI. And, this one, again, from security point of view, this one happened last year and bound to happen again and again. There is a couple from KL that look at the AI generated video, kan, yang tunjukkan ada cable car in Ipoh. If you are from Ipoh ataupun Perak, you will know for sure Ipoh tak ada cable car. And for some reason, the couple look at the AI video, dia tak tahulah that video is AI. And go down to Ipoh one fine Sunday and ask around, where is the cable car? Cakap, mana ada cable car dekat Ipoh? And they start to show this video of cable car. We say, this is not true. So the video is generated by AI and it become very, very frequent. And this movie back in 2025, Wall-E, maybe portray our future. When we surrender, I mean, the issue with AI is not about the usage of the tool and the difference between AI and prior technology, because this is not something that happened first time. We surrender one of the things that make us human, the cognitive ability, the ability to think. When we use AI, basically we are passing or surrendering the thinking process to AI. As simple as that. So if thinking what make us human in future, then we will become like this. And in this movie, human will sit on this moving platform watching kids video, even though they are adults, because their cognitive ability has been degraded to maybe children level because they don't use their brain. Everything done by AI. Similar to calculator, I think that happened. So this one I will skip. You can read all this on your own, the challenges and so on. Legal and copyright issue, challenges to us as educator. And as a conclusion, it is a tool. You have to learn how to use the tool properly. I can see a lot of benefit about usage of AI as an educator, but there are also challenges as well. So it's a work in progress. Hopefully we will work together on this and work together to use it to our benefit lah. Instagram, yang tadi tu kalau you nak tengok, kan, TikTok tak berapa aktif sangat. There is a group on Facebook about usage of this AI model, image model. Again, not active, just to share. And feel free to contact me. Once again, thank you very much to IEM and to CPD for the invitation. Anything that you want to collaborate ataupun contact, you can contact me personally lah. With that, saya pasang balik kepada Rosetta. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Johari. We have learned a lot today, Alhamdulillah. So any questions from, let me see if there is many of these are comments. Any questions?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can I ask question here?
Waalaikumsalam. Silakan. Kata.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Dr. Johari. Very interesting, useful information. I am Dr. Syahrir Mizani from Kuliah of Pharmacy. Okay, I'm afraid that the point that I want to ask already touched. Pardon me if I missed the information. Because my students, some of my students are reluctant to use AI due to the issue of global warming. Global warming, some mention about the data center located in Sedenak, Johor, that, and then make the earth become hotter. So what is your comment regarding that?
Surprisingly, they know about that, and I'm surprised they follow that. And it is true, I think AI, the downside of AI, it consumes a lot of energy, and there's no doubt about it. On average, because AI is run from data center, And of course, the explosion of data center in Malaysia, and why Singapore doesn't want data center, apart from tak ada tanah yang cukup and not enough space for them. Data center 70% cost is electricity. Okay, second is actually water, because water is needed for cooling. They are closed loop data center, but that is new technology, will not come to Malaysia with probably the next 5 years lah. So the current technology for data center, you have to pump water in order to cool down, and 70% of the cost is electricity. Water too is the biggest issue actually, because not enough clean water for the people, then you want to pump into the data center. So that's the talking point lah, and why Singapore tolak semua data center to Johor. But coming back to your point, their reluctance to use AI due to the impact on environment. Every technology is a double-edged sword, kan? Kalau betul diorang concern about environment, suruh dia naik basikal pergi kuliah. Betul tak? Terus pun tanya dia pakai apa datang kuliah. Kalau pakai EV, okay, acceptable. Kalau dia pakai ICE combustion engine, itu pun mencemar juga. So we have to make a choice lah, and we acknowledge the problem. The current AI is a power guzzler and water guzzler. To those two is an environmental impact. And on the energy side, kalau the source of energy is not from clean energy, then of course it does contribute to the pollution. But hopefully we will switch to clean energy in the process lah. And people are finding ways to minimize costs and the pollution part. And in US, a huge data center, they use closed loop for the water and clean energy, solar like California, mandated by the law in California, data center has to use at least 70% clean energy, either from solar, from wind farm, and so on. So the good thing about what you asked just now, students are aware, but to me, if you ask me between, yalah nak guna mencemarkan, tapi guna benefit, we still use gunakan lah. Because you'll be left behind, and unfortunately, it's not something that you can put aside and claim that, oh, I'm friendly to the environment. But it's a personal choice lah, kan. Tapi kalau dia tak nak guna tu susah sikit kan. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised. Thank you for sharing. It's food for thought. And I thought student doesn't care about environment and so on. Are these undergraduate student ke ataupun postgraduate student? Actually?
Undergraduate.
Wow,
Yes.
interesting. Okay. I salute for that kind of thinking lah. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Johari. Exactly
Okay.
the same answer from me lah. I said to them to be moderate lah, in moderate. Not
Uh,
to use too extreme, don't use too extreme. So in
faham. Okay. I think back to niat lah. Kalau kita niat tu gunakan untuk perkara yang baik, and walaupun yalah it does contribute to the pollution, dan kita niatkan, hopefully we will find a solution as well kan.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Okay. Ada soalan lain, silakan.
There are questions from the chat box. Dr. Halina asks, can I know about the copyright issues when using AI image in publication of books, journals? Thank you.
I'm not aware about restriction of doing that. Most journal will ask you to cite ataupun to put in the acknowledgement if you use AI for whatever purpose. And most journal now memang dah ada dia requirement when you submit to a journal, please acknowledge if you use AI for the writing process, which include the generation of images lah. And they have come up with the rules on what you can use the AI for. If you just copy and paste for the content, of course, it's not allowed. But if for brainstorming and so on. So to my knowledge, if you find the truth to this, please let me know. There's no restriction to use AI to generate images, either the figure, diagram, illustration, and so on. Of course, the responsibility comes to the author to validate and verify. So if you use AI to generate any figure and so on, you have to double check, because of course there is potential to have errors lah, and especially image generation. But as I mentioned, the latest technology 5.5, especially Image 2.0 from ChatGPT, is close to perfect. And I used to use AI to generate figures, but not good enough. Usually I have to bring that into Photoshop or other platform in order to correct something, and especially on diagram lah. But kalau setakat illustration and so on, there's no restriction to my knowledge. You can mention that in the acknowledgement, AI was used to generate diagram and so on, just to be on the safe side. And but if you don't mention pun, I think at the moment I haven't come across journal that put restriction. And but the responsibility goes back to you to make sure that it is correct and accurate. Okay, ada lagi silakan.
Ada lagi soalan ni. Salam doktor, what is your opinion on generative artificial intelligence addiction syndrome guide?
Addiction, itu I'm wondering what kind of addiction lah. Adakah gunakan untuk what purpose? Yang saya mention tadi FOMO sebenarnya, because orang guna kita guna, tapi we don't have a specific purpose. So that's one angle that I can think of lah, kan. And tapi addiction, if you spend, to my personal experience, when I started to play around with image generation, and I was so consumed with it, kan. I remember during 2024, 2025, I spent around 3 to 4 hours playing around with image generation. Yang lepas satu nampak, cantik image ni kan. Tak kisahlah lelaki perempuan ke, whatever it is kan. Then you try again, and you want to make it perfect. But I always put into my mind before I start using it, what I want to learn from that session. Kan. Usually it's the prompt itself. And I have a bank of prompt that I keep. And from there I learn lah. So I guess addiction is a general term. The question is, can you stop using whatever tools that you are using if you want to? If not, then that is addiction. And then you have to cure it lah, and using whatever way. So it's a simple rule for addiction. Are you using it for purpose that doesn't contribute to the development of yourself from the knowledge perspective and so on? Because addiction very very easy to detect. Kalau you tak boleh stop using whatever it is, and that is a form of addiction. Solution dia ada banyak solution lah kan. Ada yang cold turkey ke apa ke kan. So have to diagnose lah kan, to addicted. Tapi katakan yalah, I mean, okay, I think I understand another angle. Another practice that I try to do but very difficult to follow. Before I use ChatGPT for any task, katakan saya nak buat, malam tadi saya buat apa ChatGPT? Oh, write a proposal untuk satu commercial project lah, consultancy. I always ask myself what I want to do. And before I simply go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to prepare the proposal for me. So as I said, the cognitive process, I still want to maintain to a certain extent. The danger is the moment you are faced with a certain task, and for us as educator tu biasalah, kan you prepare this, I want this in 1 hour, and masalah masa tu. So in that situation, if you simply jump to any AI tools and ask the tool to do it for you, and without any thinking process, that is another form of addiction, because it doesn't contribute to your self-development. In fact, you are surrendering your cognitive ability to this AI. And so that is the danger lah. Very hard to control because we are under pressure to deliver. And ini cerita sami value lah kan. Bukan sehari ni, dia nak semalam dah siap. Those are the things that we always joke around. So under those kind of situation, yes, I believe it's a form of addiction lah. And so we are forced to do that kan. Sekarang, I mean, I can be proud, I can do a lot of things, but a lot of things is done by AI. And what is my own contribution? So those are the things that I have to ask myself from time to time lah. Apa yang saya nak demonstrate kan? Macam ada benda saya nak demonstrate sekejap Sambil-sambil tu ada soalan lain sekejap.
I have a question, Dr. Prof.
Sila.
Have you tried using any AI to mark student assignments?
Yang saya nampak yang daripada China, dia memang dah ada machine siap. Kalau yang OCR, MCQ tu, that one dah 100% done. I saw one video from China 3 weeks ago. So it's it's like a photocopy machine where you put in student answer. This is handwritten. And then it marks straight away. Kan? Oh, I see. Kalau boleh dapat benda ni kan best ni. Kan? I tried myself. So it's a bit of tedious, bukan tedious lah. Katakan final exam, student jawab, dia gunakan yang answer script tu lah, handwritten. I scan those and put those into ChatGPT. Of course, the answer scheme is there. Unfortunately, it's not accurate enough. When I tried that a few months ago with final exam, around 70% accurate. So the problem is, and this is another pattern that you probably see from time to time when you do certain tasks, you spend more time correcting the things done by AI. So to me, once you figure out that thing, it's not the right time to use that for that purpose. So my personal experience when I tried that on my own student and various quality of handwriting lah, and ada handwriting tu langsung tak dapat baca. And so AI tried to guess the answer, but not good enough. So you have to go through again and check one by one because the responsibility lies on you. But the one that I saw from China, nampak macam very, very good lah. And I'm not sure what model they use in order to that one. But dia siap marking sekali. And machine tu boleh marking sekali on that one, ada tick and so on. So nanti saya explore that thing lah. Kalau dapat nanti boleh lah cuba. So conclusion, personally, it's not good enough. And it can be used as a guidance, but to me, it's not good enough as a full-fledged marking assistant lah. But the time will come. I can guarantee, I believe this year, some of the model, especially ChatGPT, will be good enough for that purpose. Yang apa tu, computer written punya assignment tu, itu tak ada masalah. That one memang saya gunakan. Student submit, I simply use ChatGPT lah. To me, ChatGPT is good enough. Some university, they use their own AI. So they use foundational AI, contoh Llama 4. They train that using their own data set and they use that internally. Some university in US like Minnesota and so on, to my knowledge, dah start gunakan lah. So again, the question is like this. Mungkin CPD kena handle this thing lah, ataupun you have your own center. Is the marking process a high value activity for educator? And to me, no. The marking process, no. But the evaluation from the marking, yes. So marking, you can use AI or whatever automation to do it. You dapatkan tu, then you look at it and you comment what the student needs to improve and so on. So that is high value. And the marking part to me, no. Especially on MCQ lah. And we used to spend tebul lubang and so on. And satu persatu double check lagi. Yang mata sampai rabun-rabun nak check MCQ. Those are low value activity. But the analysis of the result is high value. Ada soalan lagi dalam tu?
Ada soalan panjang.
Boleh, tak ada masalah. Saya extend sikit masa, Doktor. Boleh?
Dr. Aizat Ali tanya, due to the influx, only AI influence on student practices in completing their alternative assessment, should we place more weight on traditional exam-based assessment?
Dia macam ni, interval assessment. I understand the concern lah. Whatever traditional assessment, let's say you give an assignment, student can simply dump the assignment, the whole file into ChatGPT and come out with the perfect answer. That happened, I think, 2 years ago. And so the traditional assessment doesn't work. The best way, in fact, what we did is to flip the marking weightage. And katakan assignment 20 marks or 20%. It used to be 17 for the report and maybe 3 for the presentation, kalau ada presentation lah. But now we flip. I mean, we don't care about the report. The report you can generate whatever it is. But the presentation will be the major part of the marks. So now what I practice, katakan assignment ada 20%, ada report, ada presentation. So 17 marks is on presentation, 3 marks on the report itself. Of course, they still have to come up with the full report, but they need to be able to explain what they have prepared. If you can answer and explain, to me, no problem. You can use whatever tools that you want. But the only problem with that approach is scalability. Ada 20 student okay, 30 student okay. Bila sampai 50 student ke atas, and when you want to do the presentation component, that one is time consuming. Time consuming. Because it has to be a face-to-face ataupun ialah interactive presentation. It cannot be a recorded one. And from there, you can gauge the understanding and you can ask question on the spot. But that is not scalable. Tapi sekarang ada banyak approach lah. And I'm keeping track of different assessment on allowing students to use AI, but how to ensure that they learn from it. So another approach is, contoh untuk buat report. Usually I will ask them, provide 2 versions of the report. The first version is your own writing, but then use AI to improve. So dia tak boleh guna AI untuk buat yang human writing tu. Kan ada yang cuba. Kan dia cakap AI can you produce human level writing with a lot of grammatical error. Lagi banyak masa untuk dia buat error tu daripada buat sendiri. Cakap dia better you write sendiri. And they show whereby you improve on the original writing using AI up until the last version. So they have to do both. They have to write first their own draft version, and I have to check first. Bukan simply buat draft kosong ataupun draft yang saja-saja saja. But still, again, it's the time taken to do that kind of approach lah. So it's a very active area at the moment on how to embed AI into the assessment. I think the consensus is like this. I think we cannot stop AI. Simply impossible. And we have seen progression of technology from time to time. And so this is just another progression. So we cannot stop that. So we have to find a way to adapt and adopt AI into the teaching and learning plus the assessment. Things are changing lah, and for sure. So apa lagi? Nombor 2, alternative assessment. Real life, betul. Itu pun another approach lah. Contoh assessment is very specific to the locality. AI is not good enough to cover everything. Kan kalau dia suruh buat cyber security report from the perspective of Sarawak, for example, and AI can do probably certain part of it, but not the full part. So they have to do their own research and so on lah. AI under MQA, I'm not sure. I haven't seen any MQA GGP, good practice ataupun standard, because I always refer to the computing standard that include AI as part and parcel of the teaching component and assessment. I think they are looking into this for sure. I haven't heard the latest news about that. And number 4, ethical use of AI to the professional and ethical inquiry domain in our assessment rubric. Ini from lecturer perspective ke student perspective? Assessment rubric. Nak buat assessment rubric, lecturer guna AI. Saya gunakan, tak tahu lah tak betul ke tak betul. Boleh ke tak boleh? To me, there's no
Student perspektif, Doktor.
student perspective. Maksudnya apa? Maksudnya assessment.
Maksudnya, for example, right now, let's say there is our course do not cover the professional and ethical punya domain under MQA, let's say, kan?
Oh,
And then because of this AI, as you said, and we agreed that we cannot escape from AI. In fact, AI should be used, right?
yeah.
But the focus should be on making sure our students use the AI ethically. So should we start taking more of this, covering all these ethical elements in our courses?
I think what happened, there are two approaches lah. Unfortunately, walaupun ada AI policy, what I noticed, AI policy is very generic in nature. I've seen policy daripada UKM. I think IIM pun ada AI policy, if I'm not mistaken kan. Tapi at the end of the day, dia akan surrender the responsibility to individual lecturer to decide. So dia belum ada consensus. Kalau contoh computer science in term of plagiarism, and in fact for science-based punya program, not more than 25% kan. And, so that is very specific. Untuk AI, there are two problems. First, there are not good enough tool available to detect AI usage. That's number 1. And second, on what percentage that we agree upon and how much AI they can use. Is it possible to measure? That's one. And kalau ada AI detector, maybe lah. And so those are things that need to be finalized first. And at the end, you can have a generic policy that cover all usage of AI lah, either at program level, faculty level, kuliah level, university level, and so on. So far, saya belum nampak lagi. And individual, yes. So the problem is, one lecturer to one extreme langsung tak benarkan guna AI. And yang satu lagi itu langsung tak kisah pakai AI tidak. So those are the two extreme. So at the moment, there are various approaches for different lecturer. At UNIMAS, we try to consolidate. We coming up with the best practice based on domain, and science domain, engineering domain, and arts and humanities domain, and so on. Then inside that, we try to be as specific as possible. That's number 1. And second one, sekejap. We are coming up with a generic courses for all students. compulsory to be taken in first semester, first year of their study that cover the usage of AI from the technical perspective just now, what we go through, and also from the ethical perspective. That one, I don't think we have time to start this September. I think on paper more maybe, tapi kalau next year lambat sangat kan. So dia kena dapatkan kebenaran MQA untuk change the curriculum actually. So I'm not sure yet lah. I mean the process has started. There is a group that come up with the syllabus for that MPU, and not sure the timeline lah. I think this September memang tak sempat. So most likely next year academic session. Next question. MQA requirement, OBL, CLO, limit lecturer. To a certain extent, true also lah, kan. I think the reason why we have table 4 course outline, course plan is to standardize the quality. Let me try to think. Instructional design. Tapi kalau you use AI, what's the challenges actually? Can you give one specific example, Dr. Fazida? What is the limitation with our current requirement, outcome-based learning, I assume, and CLO limits? Because CLO is usually generic in nature. It can be cognitive, it can be psychomotor. So AI you can put into both if you want to lah. I mean, usually we embed into the LUs. If you are non-computer science, that you can cut across the curriculum actually. Dia tak perlu specific. And for us, memang we have specific courses on AI lah, because we are learning the fundamentals actually. So again, the approach can be cut across, and it doesn't have to be in one single course. It can be cut across the curriculum lah. Cuma the next challenge is to train the lecturers. And I'm sure you have your own center for this. Kan? It's a time-consuming practice lah. Kan? Ini yang dulu punya cerita apa tu? Apa yang before this? Let me try to think. Blended learning pun belum habis cerita lagi. So tu ada flexible learning, flip classroom lah. Oi, dah hujung career ni. Because I was involved in MOOC back in 2016. Kemudian sekarang micro credential. Yalah. Kadang penat juga kan. But yeah, this is what we signed for. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, silakan.
Doctor, sorry, just one follow-up when you mentioned psychomotor and cognitive, right? Do you
Yeah.
see actually after this in the future, way forward, we could assess more on the effective domains of our students in respect to our contents?
Betul. If you look into AI basically we take over cognitive. Psychomotor mungkin lah kan, because psychomotor usually hands-on, so a bit more difficult to be surrendered to AI. And yes, you are correct. Effective is probably the most difficult. But the problem with effective, when it comes to correct me if I'm wrong. Effective dia emotion ke? Not
Yes.
necessary kan? Emotion
Emotion, attitude, perspective.
Itu kan it's very subjective to be honest. That's why jarang saya nampak effective dalam CLO. Yang selalu CLO majority kalau ada 3 CLO, 2 kognitif, 1 psikomotor. Coming from computer science background lah, and saya nampak most of the courses mungkin humanities ada the effective domain. For us jarang ada A. Because lecturer from our side we are not trained on the effective domain. Susah nak evaluate actually. Kan? So bila susah evaluate, of course AI cannot do that. Cuma yalah, takkan nak menyusahkan diri. Kan? So there must be different approach lah. I'm not saying no, kan? It's a very good suggestion. I do agree that one of the best approach to cater for AI usage. Cuma the practicality of it. Kan? Contoh effective domain. How to evaluate effective domain given the cost? And usually some ada something related to kalau macam yang sulam tu kan, buat community engagement ke, usually it's a reflective assessment lah. Buat diary, reflective and so on. And again, it's a very subjective type of assessment. And so the balls come back to our side kan. Kita guna AI untuk memudahkan tapi kita menyusahkan balik dengan tambahkan effective domain. Back to square one lah. Kan. But it's a very good suggestion actually. Thank you for suggesting that.
Prof, you want to show something? You want to...
Banyak saya dah tunjuk ni.
Yeah.
Siapa yang dah guna this one? Ini related to apa tu? Research cyborg. This one, siapa dah cuba? This one? This one's come from Sci-Hub. Siapa yang gunakan Sci-Hub? What is Sci-Hub? Sci-Hub, kalau you ask your postgraduate student, I think they are very well versed lah. Sci-Hub is a pirated site that give access to paid journal. Kan? So if you want to find journal yang berbayar, if you don't have access, then you can go to Sci-Hub to find. But that gives rise to the question of ethical. And is it ethical for you, even as an academician, and to access something that supposed to be paid? And so Sci-Hub released this cyborg, which is powered by AI. So if you want to conduct, let's say SLR on usage of Generative university student, ini contoh je lah, contoh kan. You press enter. There is a waiting list if I'm not mistaken, sebab ramai sangat orang guna kan. It will come out with, to me, of course, not 100% acceptable literature review, but good enough as a starting point. Something that you will spend probably 2-3 weeks to go through journal and so on, especially as a postgrad student, can be done in minutes lah. And so it will go through all relevant papers from Sci-Hub punya domain, and then it will come out with a bit of writing at the end. So these are all existing paper. Because one of the notorious thing about ChatGPT, especially when it comes to literature review, di hujung tu dia akan bagi reference list, but 90% of it is hallucinated and that exists. So close to useless lah in terms of reference and citation. But this one is guaranteed. It will only look into existing paper from its domain. Tu dia dah start right. Acceptable lah. I think for Scopus and maybe MSc, okay. Kerja yang berminggu-minggu can be reduced to minutes actually. But again, is it ethical? Tepuk dada tanya selera. All these references are valid. I have double checked many times that the UI exists and so on. Boleh lah for journal paper, sorry, not for journal paper, conference paper mungkin acceptable lah. Saya belum cuba lagi. Actually, I did try again to test. That was 2 years ago. I used AI to write a few journal papers, submit, accepted, but I retract back lah. Then I contact the editor saying that this is a test. Can I retract back because this is purely generated by AI. Itu pun another domain that affect us as academician on the research side, paper publication. The rise of all these tools. Maybe satu lagi saya nak tunjuk sekejap. CV yang cantik-cantik that you see in social media now. Saya belum cuba actually, just to test. So ChatGPT, mana saya punya CV. Sekejap CV to 2026. So you can attach your CV. So let's try this. So the prompt to ChatGPT, first I want to create an image lah. Kalau tak select pun still okay, but just to be on the safe side. And then the dimension, let's try portrait. Create a professional looking infographic that is based on actually ada this one, ada apa tu audio input. Kalau malas sangat nak type, boleh gunakan this audio. 100% accurate. Siapa yang malas sangat nak type, is based on my CV. What else? Use my attached photo and include logo of the faculty. So let me find these two items. gambar saya. Mana dia? Wih, keluar nama lain. Keluar nama Johari Abdul Ghani. Ini mesti kes miti EV ni. Hai, kacau betul lah. Siapa belum beli EV, better beli cepat-cepat sebelum harga naik kepada RM300,000 untuk CBU. Satu lagi adalah logo for my faculty. Yes, logo. Okay. Alright. Yang belum upload lagi ni. Okay. Now, one thing about image generation guna ChatGPT, it does take a bit longer lah, around 30 seconds to maybe 1 minute plus plus. That's the nature of the current model. The output is good, tapi dia lambat sikit. Kalau nak cepat, gunakan Gemini. Gemini is much faster, but quality-wise, it used to be the nano banana image generator from Gemini used to be really good a few weeks back. Tapi sekarang ChatGPT dah bypass, kan? As of a few days ago lah. Kita try Gemini. Ini yang saya gunakan. Sekejap. Apa saya nak buat? Create image. Susah sangat. Copy and paste the instruction. Kat sini. Logo. Dia orang computer science ni dia ada pemalas sikit because we always find shortcut. Gambar. Logo. Dengan apa satu lagi? CV. CV. Trial and error. This is not something yang boleh perfect in one go. Kalau nasib baik, dapat okay. Kalau tidak, is iteration. Dah saya belum? Okay. Kenapa tak tahu nama saya pula? Alamak. Macam tak cantik lah. Kenapa yang saya nampak dalam social media sangat cantik? Tapi boleh lah. Kan? Kenapa logo dia kat sini pula? Alamak. Itulah contohnya kan. First cycle, first round is not perfect. Kenapa this one compared to Gemini? This one is using the nano banana image model. Mungkin logo ni bukan logo semua. Now, the good thing about the current image capability, you can do edit on the fly. So a few months ago, if you want to make any changes, you have to prompt again. This one, you can click edit. Nama letaklah name. Edit logo. So it will amend the previous picture without having to retype the whole prompt again. This one, kenapa gambar lain pula? Alamak. No, quality-wise, not good. Not good. So this is the latest one. So this one, to be honest, we are playing catching up lah. I'm not sure in a few days time apa lagi yang baru akan keluar, but it's a learning process and use it to your advantage again, and learn from time to time. So in fact, saya learn every day, every single day there's something new. I'm playing around with agentic lah. So far trying to set up a few things, trying this agentic AI using LM Studio, mana dia? Try to running this in my own computer actually, the model. So this one technical lah, siapa yang nak discuss about that in another session lah. One last wait for this one. After that, we can close the session. Sekejap. Probably another 20 seconds. Claude. Satu lagi ini just to share lah. System development. Just to show a full system like this, if you go for the traditional software development path, mungkin akan ambil masa dalam 6 bulan to setahun untuk develop. Even for software developer, this one saya tengah cuba-cuba develop Tak tahulah dapat ke tidak ataupun jadi ke tidak. So this one untuk sistem pemantauan strategic planning yang baru untuk KPT, the new blueprint. And ada banyak modul. Dia ikutlah hala tuju dia, ada initiative, ada dia punya pillars and so on. This one it took me around 3 hari kot untuk buat. Tapi ada lagi lah yang belum siap. So something that needs probably 6 months or 1 year, a single person can actually do it. This is what we call vibe coding. If you want to develop a system, basically you just prompt here, and then it will build the content for you. Again, you have to have fundamental knowledge on how systems are being developed. That's number one. Yang kedua, unfortunately, this is the paid platform. They have free version, tapi not enough. The free version sehari you boleh prompt 5 kali. But the paid version 100 prompt per month actually. Still not enough, but I managed to come out with a few system within a very short time. So one last look tadi, apa yang dah jadi, dia betulkan ke tidak. Sistem dah slow down dah sekejap Domain, you can use your own domain ataupun you can use lovable domain tapi ada nama lovable.dev lah di punya ujung tu. Or you can subscribe to your own domain. Logo dah okay, nama dah okay. Okay, looks good. Nanti boleh diperbaiki lagi kan. So something that I usually take around a few hours to develop using Canva boleh disiapkan dalam a mere second or minutes lah. With that, saya pulangkan balik kepada universiti. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, kita dah selesai.
Thank you so much, Prof. Johari. We are very lucky to have you today. Jazakallah khair. So, yeah, we need to learn more from you when comment that. So, let us end. And after that, we will take a group photo, yeah. Let us end with Tasbih Kafarah wa Suratul Asr.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Thank you so much, Prof. Let us take group photo. Can you switch on your camera? Okay. Thank you so much, ya, Prof. Okay. Uzma ambil gambar ya.
Boleh. We have 5 page. Then I will take the first one. We have to wait first. Okay. For the first page, 1, 2, 3. For the second page, 1, 2, 3. Third page, 1, 2, 3. Four.
Ramai audience kita, Prof.
Mm.
Tadi almost hit 300, 200
And
something.
the last one. All right.
Okay, thank you so much everyone for your participation and for your attention. We hope to see you all again. Thank you so much, ya, Prof.
Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. Okay.
Warahmatullah. Okay, bye.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.